Hello everyone, it's Cupcake here. Very happy that you decided to click on my guide, or rather maybe someone linked this to you. I'm going to be explaining all of Kung Fu Master's skills in Flame Build in this video, so you have a really good understanding where this class stands and what can it really do while being in Fire Build. So let's get right into it. So the first abilities that you need to know is obviously Straight Jab. Now if you've seen a Power Cross meme, that's the second hit of your LMB. Naturally you will not be using your LMB a lot in Fire Build, considering that it is not anything necessary, unlike for Wind, so you can forget about LMB for now. Then you have the usual counter, which is on Resist, Threat, and Attack Defense, which is Elbow Smash, offensive ability. Then you have Tiger Strike. So get right into this skill, since this is your main damage as fire, and what it does is it does damage, and again damage. It does more damage based if your target has Searing Palm and etc., and it does even more damage if your opponent is affected by Awakened Searing Palm. And this is also emphasized, like increased effect by bracelets and your soul shields. Iron Butterfly. This is a fire exclusive move for Kung Fu Master. What this skill does is damage, and currently it can be used against a target that is CC'd, regardless stun, dazed, or knocked down. However, if in the future this skill is going to be used only on knockdown enemy, and it will launch the enemy upwards, and it will have a cooldown of 12 seconds. Currently, we use this skill to proc our Searing Palm, however. Smite is quite a interesting skill, because you're using the Smite. It comes after your Chi recovery ability. It recovers Chi as well, and honestly, it's not very good, considering that it does not proc your Searing Palm like it does in Wind, but I'll explain why this is used specifically due to badge in my next video. Searing Blow. This is another fire exclusive move. It's on your F button. This is a Chi recovery move. It is used immediately after critting with your Tiger Strike, which is your 2. So this is the second skill you're mostly going to be using in your rotation, and really all it does is just regenerate your Chi. As you can see, it recovers 5 focus, but it's a lot more while you're combat, well, based on your gear. Then you have Leading Palm. Now Leading Palm is another skill that is used only for Fire KFM. So many people don't really understand how the skill works. But as you can see, it says Searing Palm available in successful hit. So this can be used as an extension to your Searing Palm. Damage increases per unleashed stack by 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Recovers 2, 4, 6, 8 focus per unleashed stack. In other words, when you are at stage 4 Searing Palm, using this ability will do 4 times its flat damage, as well as obviously multiplied by your elemental and critical damage, but that's for later. And it's going to recover your focus immediately to full. This has a 80-second cooldown. It's AoE. It's a really good ability, especially because it casts instantly on evade, and also it's minus 50% cooldown after used an evasion. So it's just really an awesome skill. I forgot to mention this, but if you're in Searing Palm, it's going to insta-cast this as well either way. So now Comet Strike. This is the favorite skill of all Flame Kung Fu Masters for sure. This ability does massive damage, even more damage if you have it on Tiger Bracelet. It does even more damage on it's only instant cast on Searing Palm enemies, so I'll explain how to utilize this ability together with your items to the maximum a little bit later. So you have variation up to VT gear with this skill. And Hellfire Kick, another exclusive for Fire KFM. In Wind, this is called Pivot Kick. However, it's a little bit different effect. This one's a lot more simple. First thing is it only allows you to do a 4-meter AoE, which means that the range is much shorter. So no Hellfire Kick after a knockback with Iron Shoulder. It procs your Searing Palm and you resist stun, daze, knockdown, and knockback during this ability. So just damage, Searing Palm, and that's all there is. Tremor. Tremor is the same for each build. It really just does damage, increases your Tiger Strike damage by 20%, as well as your critical damage by 20%. It recovers 2 focus per each target hit, which means that it's going to keep on recovering focus while it's down. So this is another core skill for Fire Kung Fu Master, as well as just all Kung Fu Masters. Avenging Fist. Now, Avenging Fist is exactly the same as in Wind. It readies Searing Blow on hit, readies Searing Palm on hit, decreases cooldown of Searing Palm by 5 seconds on hit, removes block approach skill effect. This is mostly used for removing roots on yourself or just extending your Searing Palm. Yes. Now, Fighting Spirit, it's the same as Wind KFM. It's a buff that gives you 40% critical rate and 50% critical damage, and every second it's going to reset the cooldown of your Comet Strike. In Wind, this would mean that you get to spam your Comet Strike or whatever. In Fire, that's not what it means, since Fire is a one-shot Comet Strike. You don't get 2 of them, just 1, which means that you have a tiny spacer between your Comet Strikes, which means that there's a special rotation with Fighting Spirit as Fire KFM, which I'm going to show you in my next video, specifically about rotations. Searing Palm works the same. You get 4 stacks of it, obviously the same thing. Ultimates are really irrelevant. Awakened Searing Palm, maybe I'll talk about this, how, let's say, relevant Soulburn is to Fire KFM, and to cut it short, not very, up to VT gear. So that's that. Now I'm going to talk about Hong Moon skills. Now the Hong Moon skills you need for Fire Kung Fu Master are essentially, essentially 2, which comes from the Chilling Flame Elixir, which is a combination of Ashura Ember and Frozen Lamentation Stone. The reason being, what the Hong Moon skill does is it inflicts additional, as you can see the second line, inflicts additional 4,200 to 4,500 flame damage on a stunned, dazed, controlled, or Searing Palmed enemy. The Phantom Grip, whatever. But basically, Searing Palm on enemy, which means that if you have Searing Palm on your enemy, this ability will do an extra 30% damage. That's an approximate. And then you have inflicts additional 7,200 to 7,800 flame damage during stage 4 of Awakened Unleash effect, which means with Ember, with the Frozen Chilling Flame Elixir, this does even more damage during Soulburn. Now, what it does is really simple. Chilling Flame Elixir increases your damage flat. That's it. Just flat. Alright. Now, your Z is not needed unless you PvP a lot. Your Comet Strike is absolute core. It's the ability you're going to be building off of when you start, because this ability is going to do insane damage in comparison to every other skill. This is going to be the ability that carries you to VT. And that's really it. That's all you need for Fire Kung Fu Master, your 4 and your 2. Everything else is not mandatory. As I said, you will not be using LMB. Z is only a PvP ability, and your 1 is, well, it's something you need as a Kung Fu Master in general, regardless if you're Fire or not. Alright, so this is going to be it for skills and how they work.